again, Mary B. I hope you're having a great day. Welcome to the second part of our lesson on reacting to lay value judgment and critical issues that demand sound analysis and call for prompt actions. So, last time we have talked about the different types of issues, right? We have talked about social, moral, and economic issues. This time we're going to focus on social issues. Every day, we encounter different situations or instances that directly or indirectly affects us. So, how should we react to this? What is the best thing for us to do? So, let's have a quick look at some of the recent headlines. The first headline says, UN declares war on COVID. The second headline states, strict GCQ and NCR pushed. And the third headline is, PH economy shrinks 4.2% in first quarter. Now, looking at these headlines, what are the challenges that we are facing right now? Yes, we are talking about COVID-19 pandemic, and this pandemic is severely challenging the Philippines. Aside from the sad fact that coronavirus is responsible for thousands of deaths, lockdowns and policy actions to curtail the transmission of COVID 19 have widespread health system, economic, and societal impacts. Our healthcare system is overwhelmed. Schools and many businesses close, and many employees have lost their job. So the pandemic impacts all aspects of society. Now, do you think it is happening only in our country or also in other parts of the world? Yes, this is not only happening in the Philippines. Almost the entire world has to deal with this pandemic. The COVID 19 pandemic is a social and economic crisis that is being felt across the world. The effects, however, are uneven across countries. Now, these social issues are prevalent and you should be aware of them. Social issue is a concern or problem recognized by the society and it prevents people from functioning at an optimal level. So it is important to understand that not all things that occur in the society are raised to the level of social problem. So when do we know that a certain condition is considered as a social issue? So there are four factors characterizing social problem or issue. The first one is that the society must recognize the situation as a problem. So for any condition, situation, or behavior to be considered a social problem, it must have negative consequences for large numbers of people. So it is recognized as something as undesirable and in need of remedy. Number two, the situation is against the general values accepted by the society. So the condition must involve a gap between social ideas and social reality. That is, the condition must run counter to the values of the larger society. You know what? At the beginning of the 20th century, alcohol abuse was perceived to be a very serious social problem. They thought of it as something that is responsible for family breakdown, abandonment of children, accidental death at work, and violence in society. That is why a movement emerged that further consolidated public opinion to a point that people wanted to do something about it. Now we have many different campaigns such as the civil rights movement, gay rights movement, feminist movement, green or environment movement, Black Lives Matter, etc. Number three, a large segment of the population recognizes the problem as a valid concern. So it must be perceived to be a social problem publicly. That is, there must be some sort of public outcry. People must become actively involved in discussing the problem. So public attention becomes directed toward that social condition. And that is why mass media and social media plays an important role in the selection and definition of social problems because they can give attention to certain conditions. They can highlight or hype certain issues, right? And number four, the problem can be rectified or alleviated through the joint action of citizens or community resources. So meaning it can be solved. The condition must be capable of solution through collective action by people. If no solution is perceived possible, people will resign themselves to their fate. A good example of this is corruption. If everyone takes the attitude that you can fight government corruption, then government corruption doesn't emerge as a social problem. Rather, it is a part of life that everyone must live with. right? So these are the four factors characterizing social problem or issue. So now let's go to your favorite part. Let's explore the different tasks that you will accomplish for this week. So in learning task one, there are four pictures taken from Rappler, and all you need to do is to identify the social issues that they depict. So let's take a look at picture number one. What do you think is the social issue being depicted here? You see a guy, a man, looking confused with his cell phone at his hand, and then there are several news websites or articles. So, what do you think this is about? Yes, this is about the proliferation of fake news in digital era, right? So, picture number two, you see a lady crying, and then at the background, there are people whispering at her back. So, this could talk about bullying, violence, or discrimination. Next, learning task two. So in learning task two, you have another news article to read, and you are going to answer the questions that follow. So this is entitled "The West Philippine Sea Must Be Saved." So obviously, this talks about the West Philippine Sea. Now, these are the three questions that you need to answer. Number one, what issue is discussed in the article that you have read? Number two, do you agree or disagree with the points given by the author? Why or why not? And number three, as a Filipino, what is your stand about the issue on the West Philippine Sea? Okay? So, number three is subjective. It depends on what you believe in. But answers for numbers one and two can be found upon reading the text. Right? So in learning tasks, you're going to complete this graphic organizer. So there are four social issues, and you have to determine the effects of the social issues indicated on the rectangle. So you have to write your answer on the oval shapes. So, for example, unemployment. What could be the effects of unemployment? If people loses their job, so what could be the possible effects of it? Yes, economic problems increase because, of course, labor and employment influences our economy. Yes, it also leads to poverty, and sometimes it also disturbs the physical and the mental well-being of an individual. So that's what you're going to do. Think about the effects of the following social issues. So think about the effects of online game addiction, think about the effects of corruption, and lastly, bullying. Now, in learning task four, you have to imagine that you are the principal in an institution. And as the school head, how are you going to address the social issues that circulate in your school? So, in your pad paper, you're going to copy the table, write in the second column your suggested solution to the social issue indicated in the first column. So, in learning task three, you are asked to identify the effects. This time, you are being asked to propose a solution, okay, as a school principal. So, as a school principal, how are you going to address gender bias and discrimination? So, for example, as a principal, you are going to implement the use of gender neutral language in the school and give equal opportunities for all genders. How about the issue of overpopulation? How about bullying, fake news, or child abuse? So think about the possible solutions so that we can solve, okay, this issue in the school level. So remember, social issues are problems that influence many citizens within a society. These are common problems at present and one that many people strive to solve. So significant people around you, like your family, can help you make good decisions, provide you with practical and emotional support, and encourage you in establishing your own social identity. As a youth, your voice and actions are contributory to addressing and alleviating social issues. Therefore, it's important that you keep yourself abreast to relevant issues and be involved in your own simple ways. So here's a graphic organizer where you can see the different common social issues. Okay, we have child abuse, unemployment, overpopulation, bullying, corruption, poverty, alcohol, drugs, online game addiction, and racial discrimination. Let's have the last part, assessment. So there are 10 items here, and you just have to identify what type of issue is indicated in each number. So the choices are in the box that you can see on the right. Okay? So let's just do number one, inflation. Do you think this falls under technology, environmental, political, sports, racism, or prejudice, peace and order, education, economic, or health and disease? What do we mean by inflation, by the way? Right? Does it talk about the increase in prices and the decrease of the value of money? So, if that's so, then it falls under, yes, it falls under economic, right? So, try to do the rest. Good luck on the assessment. And of course, so once you're done with the assessment, don't forget to write your reflection in the last part of the module. So that's it. That's our English 9 quarter 4 lip 6 lesson. Once again, thank you so much for bearing with me for watching this video. I hope I was able to really help you. Thank you guys. See you next time.